Hello and welcome to Community Forum. I'm your host, Caryn Antonini. Today, I'm going to be making some Danish almond butterball cookies. This is a family recipe from my Danish heritage, and my grandmother used to make these all the time. My mom took over, and I've also jumped in to follow along with this tradition. So I'm going to share this with you today. To get started, these are pretty easy. First of all, I'm going to show you what they look like. They are amazing. They look like little snowballs. And since we just had our first dusting of snow here, it's kind of getting me in the spirit to make these. So you're going to need a cup of butter, a cup of slivered almonds, 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar, plus about 2 to 3 cups more to dredge the cookies once they come out of the oven. You'll need 2 cups of flour, which I'm going to sift, some almond extract, a couple drops of this, about a teaspoon of vanilla, and that's about it. So let's get started. I've already preheated my oven to 350 degrees. And I'm going to do my almonds first because these are essential to the almond cookies. So I have my cookie sheet here. I have slivered almonds. You can buy these at the store. You can see these are just slivered like this. It's a lot easier if you can just buy them slivered and just raw. So I'm going to toast these at 350 for about 4 to 5 minutes, depending on your oven. You can see I'm just going to lay these out evenly on my pan so they cook more evenly. And you just want to be really careful not to burn these. So make sure to check if your oven heats up quickly, if it's a quick cook, make sure to check on them. Mine does about 5 minutes. So you're just going to want to go ahead and put those in your oven and then check on them. If they're not quite done, they'll just turn like a little bit darker, just a little toasty. I recommend just having your timer or 30 seconds to a minute because they will go really quickly and you don't want them to burn. Then they're just ruined. So I have actually already done this for us in the interest of time, but you would just go ahead and put those in your oven. So I'll stick these guys over there. And when they come out, because they're going to be hot, of course, you're going to put them in a little bowl with about a half a tablespoon of butter just to coat them. They're warm. It's really nice. So the butter will melt with the warm almonds, and the butter will actually help it adhere to the dough because we're going to stick this right in the dough. But we do need these diced. So I'm going to get a cutting board and dice these. So before I get started with our dough, go ahead and do this. And it's such a great recipe because they're not a lot of ingredients, but it packs a lot of flavor with just a few, which is really interesting and super easy to make. So I'm gonna get all my nuts right on the board and then just dice them. I like to use a really sharp knife. Makes the process just a lot easier. They smell so good when they're toasted. Already, it is smelling good. So just keep dicing these. You can see they're just a little bit browned, but not too dark. Okay. There we go. Looks about right. Just diced enough so it blends in nicely with the dough, with our little batter. Okay, so that looks good. Now I'm going to set these aside and then we can make our dough. Okay, put these guys, over here. And I'm going to take my bowl and I've also softened the butter. It just makes it a lot easier to blend with my powdered sugar and the flour. So I highly recommend you doing that. Just leave it out overnight or for a few hours. And just going There we go. And need my 3 tablespoons of this powdered sugar. Two. This is great because there's 3, if you just have your staple ingredients on hand, some butter, which I always have around this time of year, lots of butter, and your flour, and just get the nuts, you can whip these up in no time, which is fantastic. Okay, so I have my hand blender, and I am just going to blend this until it's just mixed. So just a little noise. Just till it's combined. There we go. You don't have to go crazy. It doesn't need to be very light. So that's it. And then I will add got my vanilla, 1 teaspoon of vanilla right in here. And then just a few drops of the almond extract. So I am going to just pour that in. If you have a dropper, that's fine, or you can just pour, kind of eyeball with your spoon. A little goes a long way with extract, so you don't need to go crazy. Just a couple little drops. There we go. And I can already smell more almond flavor. Okay, so get this going. And just combine that. And then we have the 2 cups of flour, just regular all-purpose flour. And I'm going to sift that right in here. So as you can see, this is very, very easy, especially if you prep ahead, which I love to do, not just for the show, but just in general. If you just shop ahead of time, this is easy. Okay, put that there and get ready for the cookies. So just sift this. And this will make it really light as well, because there's the flour, butter and flour, but this makes the cookie, gives it a little lightness to it. This is one of my favorite recipes. My grandmother used to send these big silver tins of cookies every year. And my brother and I would wait for this big, huge box to arrive with all different kinds of Danish and other traditional cookies she'd make. Just pretty special. So it's nice to have those memories as I'm baking away. Okay, so got that. Stick that there. And then I'll just gradually add my flour along with the nuts and right into my bowl. Actually just go ahead and add them. Add all the nuts, and then I'll add the flour. And you'll just keep blending until it's just mixed. You'll see it comes together pretty nicely, just at a low speed. So there we go. And then the rest of the flour, add that gradually. Make sure I got all the flour underneath. Don't want to leave any flour pockets down there. But this comes together with all that butter. It blends really pretty easily. Okay, that's the rest. And we're almost done. Ready to make shape them into tiny little balls. There we go. And if you need to at the end, you can just put your blender away and just mix it with your hands. I generally like to do that just to make sure it's all mixed together. There we go, done with that. And I'll just get in there, grab a spatula, and it's blended. You can see it's already come together, but just to make sure, give it an extra, make sure all that, whoopsie, all the flour and the nuts are blended, except for those bits that just flew out. Okay, so we've got this great dough, and the nice thing is you don't even need to grease your cookie sheets because it's already greasy. So I am actually just going to check. I've made one batch of cookies ahead of time because I'll show you why, but I'm just going to check to make sure they are doing okay in here. I think they're actually ready to come out in 1 minute. Let's see. Yes. They will be fine over here for a minute. I don't want them to burn because if they burn, then they get too crumbly. So I am going to make these little balls. This should make about 4 or 5 or 6 dozen, depending on how big you like them. If you like them like this size, this is great. These are really nice with tea. I love them in the morning. I always have one with coffee in the mornings this time of year. I just love these. And they also freeze really, really well. They can freeze for months as long as no one finds them in your freezer. So they're really good. And in fact, that's how I generally like to eat them. They just have it's almost like a more intense flavor. I don't know why, but it's really good. And they're not so frozen that you can't bite into them. So there you go. So you just make these little balls like this. And they don't really spread. They just keep their shape. So you can just maybe like a little inch distance. And then I'll show you, I'm going to need to take those cookies and put them in the powder. So I'm going to do that because when they're hot, that's when you want to coat them. Should probably do that. I think my oven was very hot because I made the toasted almonds ahead of time. So I'm going to go ahead and get that cookie sheet just to show you, and I'll finish this in a second. But what you're going to do is take a big bowl. I suggest a really big bowl, and put about 2 to 3 cups of powdered sugar in there. This way it will accommodate all the cookies. So let's grab another spatula. This is a hot plate. So there's 2 times when you want to take advantage of the heat. With the almonds, they melt the butter. And then now with these cookies, you're just going to plop them right in while they're still warm, right into the sugar. You can do it in batches and then just cover them. That's why you might have excess sugar at the end, but it's a lot easier just to make sure that they're all coated, because that's the beauty of the cookie. It's half of the process. So, and you don't want to shake off any excess sugar afterwards. You just let it be. It has this awesome sugar coating, like a little snowball. So fun. So, and just gently, you can see in here, try to show you. You can see my little cookies. I'm just going to gently fold them in so they don't crumble, but they shouldn't crumble because they're not burned. They just changed a little bit of color from the original dough. But that was perfect. If your oven's hot, just make sure to check around 20 minutes. But sometimes as the oven if it's on for a bit, it can get hot. So there we go. And then we're just going to keep coating these. And then you'll just place them on a big plate and let them cool. And then once they cool down a bit, they might be a little bit tacky with the sugar on the sides. So just let them cool. And then you can put them in the freezer or just enjoy them as is. So again, here's one of the little cookies. It's ready to go, ready to eat. They are delicious. So you can also just keep them in there, which I'm going to do just for now, and take them out afterwards. So rinse my hands. Just finish this one with the little balls of dough. So they're ready to go. So these little shapes, like I said, you can make really any size you want, but the smaller, you'll have more cookies. So we'll finish this one little sheet for us here. And let's see. This is just really a typical butter cookie, really traditional, super easy, like no fail butter cookie. So I hope someone is going to try these this year. Okay, I'm also doing a winter wonderland theme over the weekend. So this is, I've always used a version of these or like a pfeffernusse cookie, just slightly different, but they all look like little snowballs and adds to the spirit of the season. So hoping we have a little snow this year. I don't think over the weekend, but there we go. So as you can see, I hope you can see, I'll put this on here. You can see it makes quite a few cookies. And that's the nice part. You can do one batch. You can also double your recipe and it's no problem. It works very easily like that. So, okay, so we're almost done with this sheet. And then I am going to show you a really quick, fun treat to make with kids or for adults as well, that if you're looking for a really fun last minute activity as well. I mean, these don't take that much time, but a no bake for kids, this is a really fun option. So I'm going to show you that too. I did something similar last year on my website. There is something similar. I'll show you in a minute, but I thought I'd change it up this year, do something a little bit different. Okay, so put my cookies aside and I'll bake those later. Okay, so that's what it should look like. And I hope you all try these cookies. So I'm gonna move those out and show you my next little project. Okay. So this one is fantastic. I'm going to be making these little polar bear faces. Last year I made some reindeer. I believe they're on my website. There's a little tutorial on how to make the faces. But this one is really, really fun. My kids love to make and eat these, but it's just a few little ingredients and something fun to do. So if you get a box of Oreos, I have to buy these and then hide them so no one finds them because they're a little hard to find this time of year. Or actually they are around, but if you can't find it, these are the white fudge Oreos. You can also just buy normal Oreos and then in a double broiler, 2 pans, you can melt either these candy melts that you see here. I'm using some for the face. So I have these. You can use white chocolate. Just make sure to use a double broiler so you don't scorch the chocolate. So it's like having, if you don't know what that is, or if you don't have one, it's like putting one little saucepan and then a smaller one on top. You fill the lower one with water, and then the top one you put the chocolate. So there's no danger of it burning or getting dried out. So you can also do that with your Oreos. Just dip them right into the chocolate mixture, let them cool, put them aside, and then you can decorate. So what I've done is I've made a little bit of royal icing. So if you're making other cookies, sugar cookies, gingerbread cookies, this is a really, really great recipe to have. You can also just use, I have somewhere here, icing that you find at the store, the normal icing you can buy anywhere, any market. But if you're going to make this type of icing, it's literally 3 cups of your powdered sugar, a 1/4 cup of this light corn syrup, and then a 1/4 cup of milk, and just a touch, just maybe half a teaspoon if you want, of vanilla extract. And you're just going to mix that in a bowl. It could not be easier. Just mix it until it's really smooth and it's almost like a glue. It's fantastic. So what I'm going to do is take one of my little Oreos, and I have one of these little candy melts for the nose. And then with my little spatula here. So it's like glue and it hardens. It's a little glossy, this royal icing. I found this icing to be really the best, especially if you're making cookies and I don't really want to see the icing here. I want it to be hidden underneath when I'm making the nose and the eyes. But so I'm just putting the nose, the first part of it right on top here. And then I have these eyes. You can find these anywhere, any market, these little eyes. I hope you can see these things. They had them at Halloween. They have, I think you can see these. You can find them anywhere. And then some brown M&Ms. I had my kids sort out just the brown ones. You can also take chocolate chips and just cut off the little tip of it. So it's easier to make a nose. So I'm going to take it and hide the little M and then stick that right on top of this is like glue. It's fantastic, but definitely let it set. I'm going to put that right on top of that part of the nose. And then just do the same for the eyes. So it's starting to look like a little polar bear. So this is so fun for little hands. Lots of kind of no-bake treats as well. And this is just really easy, last minute. So I've got my eyes. And it's fun to see the different expressions, and kids come up with all sorts of funny faces here. All right, so I've got my eyes, my nose. I'm definitely gonna let him sit here a minute. And then to make the ears, you can either use little mini marshmallows. Those will work really well with the royal icing to stick them on, or just take one of these little melts and then where is my big sharp knife? I like to use the sharp one because it goes right, oh, here it is. It goes right through this chocolate really nicely. So just get it right in the middle. And then you will have two little ears. So I'm gonna glue those on. And this is all edible, of course. I keep saying glue because it just hardens, but it's totally edible, all these things. There we go. And I got my ear. You can clean it up with the toothpick if you don't want to see the frosting, but it actually looks like fur sometimes. And there we go. So, oops, maybe a little bit more in the back. There, and just put it in the ridge where in between, like where the Oreo and the stuffing part goes. And you can fill it in if you want. So you've got your little guy right there. So they're super cute, a fun little project, really easy last minute. So if you want to try those, another really fun kind of last minute easy thing to do for the holidays are this peppermint bark. So if you've never done this before, it's really easy. You can get just some white chocolate, like a bag of white chocolate chips. And again, I'm going to show you what this looks like. This, when I keep saying a double broiler, or if you don't have that, you would just fill up this little saucepan, just fill it to about 3/4 with water, put it on your burner, and then put the chocolate right in here and let it melt, and it'll melt really evenly this way. So that's what I've done for this bark. I've just melted the chocolate. Then I take my candy canes, take a box, maybe like 8 normal candy canes, take them out of the wrappers. Here's my white chocolate. You can also use bars if you want. And then just crush them up. So I usually get a big Ziploc baggie, put them inside, get a mallet, and then cover it with a tea towel so it doesn't just rip the plastic. And then just crush all these little candy canes. You can actually also find this. Sometimes you can find the candy cane bits in the store, which makes it a lot easier. But just add that right into your melted chocolate and then just smooth it out. You may want to lay down on a cookie sheet, lay down some wax paper, lay it down and allow it to cool, probably about 20 minutes or so. And then if you want to make these great little molds, these make really great gifts. These are my little snowflakes. I think I left it, see, they're in here. I have a couple different shapes to show you. If you want to try something a little bit different, these are kind of fun, and you can really get these anywhere. So the nice thing is once you've filled them out, I do about halfway because these are thicker. Just allow them to cool, maybe at least half an hour with these or so. And then once they're cooled, you can pop them in the fridge and then they just pop right out. So these are really fun. I did these last year and put them in little little cellophane bags, tied them with a red ribbon, and they were great little gifts to give. So a few extra little recipes, ideas, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season and that you get to try some of these fun recipes. I'll see you next time.